I wasn't supposed to hear it. The bathroom door on the second floor was slightly ajar, and I'd just come up to grab the serving platter I'd forgotten in the guest room. That's when Jennifer's voice drifted out, clear as day. Honestly, Brad, she's just there, like furniture. We show up, she cooks, we eat, we leave. That's the routine. It's not like she has anything interesting to say anymore. My hand froze on the banister. Brad's laugh was uncomfortable. Jen, that's your mom. I know. I love her. But let's be real, she's just the Thanksgiving house now. The Easter house, the Christmas house. We don't actually need her for anything else. I stood there for what felt like an hour but was probably 30 seconds. The platter could wait. I walked back downstairs on the balls of my feet, the way I used to when the kids were babies and finally asleep. When I reached the kitchen, Michael was helping himself to more stuffing. "Mom, this is incredible," he said, mouth half full. "Stephanie was just saying we should get your recipe." I smiled. I always smiled. Of course, honey. But something had cracked open inside me, and I knew it wasn't going to close. My name is Eleanor, though everyone calls me Ellie. I'm 62 years old, and until that Thanksgiving, I thought I knew exactly who I was. I was Mom. I was the keeper of traditions, the maker of holiday meals, the one with the photo albums organized by year, and the garden that bloomed right on schedule. My husband, Thomas, died 6 years ago, heart attack, sudden, the kind that rearranges your whole life in an afternoon. The kids were devastated. I was devastated, but we got through it together, or so I thought. After Tom died, I threw myself into being there for Jennifer and Michael. Jen had just had Sophie, and she was overwhelmed. I went over 3 times a week. I did laundry, I made meals, I rocked that baby to sleep more times than I could count. Michael was going through a rough patch at work, so I helped him and Stephanie with their down payment on a house. $60,000 from the life insurance. Tom would have wanted that, I told myself. I never asked for anything back. That's not how love works. But sitting at that Thanksgiving table, watching Jennifer laugh with Brad, watching Michael scroll through his phone between courses, I realized something. They hadn't asked me a single question all evening. Not about my book club, not about the garden redesign I'd been planning, not about the watercolor class I'd started taking on Tuesdays. The conversation flowed around me like I was a rock in a stream. Sophie was the only one who seemed to see me. "Grandma, can you teach me how to make the pumpkin pie?" she'd asked earlier. Jennifer had cut in immediately. "Sweetie, Grandma's probably tired. Maybe another time." But I wasn't tired. I was never too tired for Sophie. That night, after everyone left, I sat in Tom's study. I hadn't changed much in here. His books were still on the shelves, his reading glasses still in the drawer. I pulled out the file folder labeled Estate Planning. Our will was straightforward. Everything split evenly between Jennifer and Michael. The house, the investments, the small trust Tom had set up. It was all very neat, very fair. I thought about Jennifer's words. The Thanksgiving house, the Easter house, the Christmas house. Not Mom's house, not even home. Just a location, a venue. I called my lawyer the next morning. His name was David Chen, and he'd handled Tom's estate. "David, I need to make some changes to my will." There was a pause. "Of course, Eleanor. What did you have in mind?" I told him. He was quiet for a moment. Then, "Are you sure about this?" I've never been more sure of anything. The holidays came and went. Christmas was smaller that year. I told the kids I wasn't feeling up to hosting. Jennifer sounded annoyed on the phone. "But Mom, it's tradition. Sophie's been looking forward to it." "Then you're welcome to host," I said pleasantly. "I'm happy to bring a dish." Silence. "Then we don't really have the space." "I'm sure you'll figure it out." I spent Christmas Day with my book club friends. We did a potluck at Marion's house, watched old movies, laughed until we cried. Marion's daughter was there too, visiting from Seattle. She asked me about my watercolors, about the garden, about whether I'd read the new biography everyone was talking about. It was the first time in months someone had asked me about myself. On the drive home, I felt something unfamiliar. It took me a while to name it. Lightness. January brought bitter cold, and a phone call from Michael. Mom, Stephanie and I were talking. We're thinking about the future, and we wanted to discuss, well, the house. What about it? Just that it's a lot for you to maintain. 4 bedrooms, that big yard, and the property value in your neighborhood has really gone up. We thought maybe it would make sense for you to downsize, sell while the market's good. I watched the snow falling outside my window, covering the garden beds I'd mulched so carefully in November. And then what? Well, you could get a nice condo, something easier, and the money from the sale could be invested. For all of us, for the future. There it was. Not for you, Mom, so you can travel or enjoy retirement. For all of us. I'm not selling the house, Michael. Mom, just think about it. I have thought about it. This is my home. Your father and I built a life here. I'm not going anywhere. He was quiet. Then, fine. It was just an idea. But I knew it wasn't just an idea. It was a plan, carefully discussed between my children, probably over multiple conversations I knew nothing about. February, March. The calls became less frequent. I stopped being invited to Sunday dinners. When I asked, Jennifer said they were just trying to do their own thing for a while. Michael claimed work was crazy. But I saw on Facebook, yes, I was on Facebook, that they were getting together. Just not with me. I wasn't hurt. Not anymore. I was observing it all from a new distance, like watching a play I'd seen before. In April, I went to David's office and signed the new documents. He walked me through everything one more time. Eleanor, this is a significant change. Have you told Jennifer and Michael? No. Don't you think you should? I thought about that. David, when my children look at me, do you know what they see? A resource, a bank, a free caterer. They don't see a person who reads poetry and grows dahlias and has opinions about foreign films. They haven't asked me a real question in years. He nodded slowly. I understand. But this will come as a shock. Good, I said, and I meant it. Spring bloomed. I spent my mornings in the garden, my afternoons with watercolors, my evenings reading on the porch. I joined a hiking group for seniors. We did easy trails, nothing crazy. But I felt muscles I'd forgotten I had. I felt alive. Sophie's birthday was in May. Jennifer called a week before. Mom, we're having a party for Sophie. Just family. Can you make your chocolate cake? The one with the raspberry filling? The cake took 4 hours to make properly. I'm afraid I can't, I said. What? Why not? I have plans that day. Plans? Jennifer's voice went up. What plans? A hiking trip. We're going to the White Mountains. Mom, it's your granddaughter's birthday. I know. I'm mailing her a gift, a beautiful set of watercolors and paper. I thought maybe we could paint together sometime. She's 8. She doesn't care about watercolors. She cares about seeing her grandmother. Then perhaps you should have thought of that before. Before what? I didn't answer. Give Sophie my love, I said, and hung up. The hiking trip was glorious. Clear skies, mountain laurel in bloom, good company. We stayed in a cabin overnight, made s'mores, told stories. One woman, Rita, had recently lost her husband too. We talked for hours about what it meant to rebuild a life, to find yourself again after decades of being half of a whole. My kids think I'm crazy, Rita said. They want me to move closer to them, help with the grandkids, but I'm done shrinking myself to fit into other people's schedules. I raised my coffee mug. To not being crazy, she grinned. To being exactly the right amount of crazy. June, July, August. The summer passed in a blur of color and growth. My garden had never looked better. I'd let whole sections go wild, filling them with native plants that attracted butterflies and bees. The neighbors commented on it. Eleanor, this is spectacular, Mrs. Patterson said over the fence. You should open it for the garden tour. So I did. I opened my garden for the town's annual tour in September, and over 200 people came through. I served lemonade and cookies, answered questions about plant varieties and soil composition. I talked about Tom, about how we'd planned this garden together, about how it had saved me after he died. Jennifer found out through Facebook. She called, furious. You opened the house to strangers, but you can't make time for your own family? You're welcome to visit any time. I said calmly. As my family, not as guests expecting to be served. What is that supposed to mean? It means if you come, you bring a dish, you ask me how I am, you tell me about your lives, and you listen when I tell you about mine. It means you see me as a person, not a service provider. She hung up on me. October came, and with it, the question I'd been waiting for. Michael called. Mom, what are we doing for Thanksgiving? What would you like to do? I mean, are you hosting? No. Silence. No? No. I'm going to Marion's this year. She invited me weeks ago, but Thanksgiving is at your house. It's always been at your house. Well, this year it isn't. What are we supposed to do? I almost laughed. Michael, you're a grown man with a beautiful home and a capable wife. I imagine you'll figure it out. This isn't like you. Maybe you never knew what I was actually like. Another hang-up. I was getting used to them. Thanksgiving at Marion's was lovely. There were 12 of us, all women over 60, all with stories of rediscovering themselves. We cooked together, laughed together, and when Marion's daughter proposed a toast to the women who raised us and are still teaching us how to live, I felt tears in my eyes. That night, I got a text from Sophie. Jennifer must have helped her write it, but I recognized Sophie's voice in it. Grandma, I miss you. Thanksgiving wasn't the same. Can I come visit and paint with you? I texted back immediately. Of course, sweetie. Anytime. December arrived. I decorated the house for myself, a small tree in the living room, white lights in the garden, a wreath on the door. I played Bing Crosby and made Tom's favorite cookies, not because anyone expected them, but because I wanted to. On December 15th, Jennifer and Michael showed up at my door together. No spouses, no Sophie, just them. Mom, we need to talk, Jennifer said. I made tea. We sat in the living room, and I waited. Michael started. We know we've screwed up, Jennifer cut in. We were talking to Stephanie's mom, and she said some things that made us realize we've been taking you for granted. I said nothing. And then Sophie told us about what you said, about seeing you as a person. Jennifer's voice cracked. Mom, I'm so sorry. I didn't even realize I was doing it. Neither did I, Michael added. You've always just been there. I never thought about what you needed or wanted. I just assumed you were happy doing everything for us. I set down my teacup. I was happy. For a very long time. But then your father died. And I realized I'd spent so much of my life being what other people needed that I'd forgotten who I was underneath it all. And when I tried to find myself again, you weren't interested. You wanted the old me back, the one who cooked and cleaned and gave, and never asked for anything. That's not fair, Jennifer said, then stopped herself. No, actually, it is fair. That's exactly what we did. We sat in silence for a moment. What did you mean on the phone? Michael asked quietly. When you said, maybe we never knew what you were actually like, I smiled. Did you know I've been taking watercolor classes? That I'm reading Dostoevsky in my book club? That I went hiking in the White Mountains and stayed in a cabin overnight? That I've been learning about native plant gardening and opened my garden for a tour? They both stared at me. No, Jennifer whispered. I didn't know any of that. That's because you never asked. More silence. Can we start over? Michael said. Can we get to know you? The real you? I thought about it. I thought about the year I'd spent rebuilding myself, setting boundaries, learning to take up space again. I thought about the new will sitting in David Chen's office, the one that left the bulk of my estate to Sophie's education fund and various charities, with only token amounts to Jennifer and Michael. I hadn't told them yet. I wasn't sure when I would. Maybe never. Maybe that wasn't the point. The point was that I'd stopped waiting for them to see me. I'd started seeing myself. Yes, I said finally. We can start over. But things are different now. I'm different now. We can see that, Jennifer said. And honestly, you seem happier. I am. Will you tell us about it? Michael asked. About your watercolors and your hiking and all of it? I poured more tea. I'd like that. We talked for 3 hours. I showed them my paintings amateur, but mine. I told them about Rita and Marion and the book club. I showed them photos from the garden tour. And for the first time in years, they listened. Really listened. When they were leaving, Jennifer hugged me tight. "Can Sophie and I come over this weekend? She really wants to paint with you." "I'd love that." "And Mom?" She pulled back, looking at me. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not giving up on us. For giving us a chance to do better." I touched her cheek. "You're my children. I never stopped loving you. I just had to learn to love myself too." After they left, I stood in the garden as twilight fell. The winter air was crisp, and the last of the asters were blooming purple against the fence. I thought about Tom, about what he'd say if he could see me now. I think he'd be proud. I went inside, made myself dinner just for me, exactly what I wanted, and settled in with my book. Outside, the lights twinkled in the darkness. Inside, I was warm and full and completely, utterly myself. The will stayed the same. Maybe one day I'd tell them. Maybe I wouldn't. That wasn't the gift I was giving them anyway. The gift was the chance to know me, the real me. And this time, if they wanted it, they'd have to earn it. I turned the page and kept reading.